Hello, friends. Welcome to another edition of Cinephile Saturday. It's been a while. It's been, been a few weeks. But we were trying to discuss The Crow for Halloween, and here we are, middle of November, making it happen. But we're here to discuss The Crow, starring Brandon Lee, from 1994. This is I don't know if you want to say it's a classic, maybe for certain generations.
It is a classic. Yeah. Come on.
We'll talk all about it. Joshua, you want to start us off with an introduction?
Yes. Hello, I'm Joshua, and I'm a member of the page chewing forums.
Yes. And Chibipoe.
Yeah, I'm Chibipoe, and also a member of the page chewing forums.
Lots of members.
Yes, lots of members.
So I think it's a cult. I'm pretty sure it's a cult.
I think so. Yeah, but we don't talk. But first rule of the cult is not talk about the cult.
Yeah. Sorry, Steve.
No,
Sorry.
it's okay. But so The Crow, I think it's a pretty. I think for that time period, it was quite the event. Not only because of Brandon Lee and his death in the movie, but
yeah,
just in general. I think it's it fits that time period very well, like the gothic themes and the music and the soundtrack, and kind of it's very of its time. But it's so it's in. I think there's some things that show that it's dated. I think you watch it now and through 2023 eyes, and it's there's some things that are standard like 90s movie stuff, but overall I think it's pretty. It holds up. It holds up pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know which versions you guys watched, the original cut or the director's cut.
I don't think I've seen the other cut.
Seen the other, I think, because there is that one cut that restores some of the stuff that that ended up being chopped out of the theatrical release.
Theatrical,
but a lot of it's like really
Hmm.
Thereabouts. So like I've seen the storyboards and whatnot where there's some the stuff with like the skull cowboy and things like that were just completely cut out because they're like, no, this would confuse everyone. So
yeah, it's especially for one fight, the one he has with the fun boy. That's I think the most important piece that was cut from the movie. Because there's a certain point that I'll get back to that because I'm already a piece into the movie.
I know it's the slightly morbid, but if I'm not mistaken, the fun boy scene is the one where it happened. Where
that actor is the one that is always been blamed for the death of Brandon Lee. So
yeah, Michael Massey and you know what.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
But yeah, it's a movie of its time. I mean, the 90s were very punk rock, gothic, as you say, edgy, and therefore I think still one of the most. Maybe I'm biased because I'm of that era, but the most experimental and movies got the furthest in that time for me. If you think about this movie's 94, The Matrix is 99. I mean, the evolution we had during that period was amazing, and then we suddenly stopped 2000s, and then CGI became more and more in use, and even the CGI of that era of the 90s is way better than because it's a mix of practical and CGI, and but I really love this one.
Yeah, if I wouldn't have known or been familiar with what happened to Brandon Lee, I don't know that I would have picked out the scenes that were edited, even 1994 when during the theatrical release. There are some scenes that you can tell were, he was copied over onto a few scenes, but it wasn't too obvious that it would have taken me out of the movie. So they did a pretty good job of restoring it.
It's the beginning of the movie where he comes back from the grave, and when he puts on the face paint, and then he jumps out of the window and comes back, has that whole cool scene. You notice you just see the actor's back the whole time.
And I think the scene with T-Bird,
Yeah.
with the actor, Kelly, David Kelly, because it's like when T-Bird's sitting in the car, he's strapped, duct taped to the seat, and you see him walking, Brandon or the Crow walking around, but you only ever see this one cut of his face, and it's like almost the same shot at both times.
Yeah. But it really starts off really, really brutal, and let's say the shots going through the city are great. Yes, they're a bit aged, but at the same time, I really like it. The director used it in another movie as well. It's called
Dark City.
Yes, Dark City. I really love that movie. That is such a great movie.
I was going to bring that. He's it's like he does a similar aesthetic with that one, and I'm like, he really is really good at it. So I saw something that said he had something also to do with 1989's Batman, but I don't know if that's just someone making something up or.
If it's true, I could see it.
Yeah, there's quite a few iRobot knowing Dark City.
Yeah, and iRobot wasn't really that great, even though it has a 7.1. It's not the worst movie ever, but if you read the book, it's just a small story.
Oh, I see what it was. Yeah, it's just like his aesthetic. They're like compared him to stuff like Blade Runner. Ridley Scott's 1982 Blade Runner, and then Tim Burton's Batman. And it's definitely a similar aesthetic.
Yeah.
But I also like just the other part I really liked about it is just like all the people who turn out. There's all the cast, and they all turn out. Some like David Kelly, who played T-Bird. That whole scene with him as before he gets blown up, and he's like a great character actor, and he just completely sells he's like, I know you, I knew you, but you can't be you, and he just like freaking out, and I'm like, okay, that's a great performance he turns in right there.
I think all the thugs did a pretty good job of seeming to be I don't want to say realistic, but they seem to have their moments. All of them had a moment of scumbagginess.
Yeah. Even though you only see a couple of them, like a few minutes in total through the whole movie, they have each their own characteristics that define them. Like that's him. Yeah, it's almost all of them are quotable. It's
and plus the little moments you get with them in the movie, and combined with the flashbacks, and you're like, yeah, these guys are all scum.
Yeah.
And they drilled home. It's like, yeah, these guys are scum.
Yeah, all of them had. You do get the sense that they're, like you said, they're all quotable, have their own moments, but they're all memorable too. They each have their own little personalities. They're not like carbon copies of one another. So I always appreciated that about this one too. And of course, Michael Wincott. He's
Michael.
He's top dollar.
Yeah. That man was such. I followed him so much in the 90s. What was it? Prince of Thieves, Three Musketeers.
Let's see. No, he was in like Alien Resurrection, which I've been trying to forget since I've seen it. He's also in Strange Days, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, his voice alone. That man's voice.
Yeah, and he's like absolutely chewing the scenery in that movie. It's like, I'm like, let's see, what else was he in?
He's in quite a few. Yeah, he's in Three Musketeers, Romeo is Bleeding, The Doors, Born on the 4th of July. He's in quite a few.
Yeah.
He just has that presence that it's hard to... I think some people have it and some people don't, but he definitely has it.
Indeed, he does. Yeah, that one scene where he goes like, "Quick impressions for you, call, bang, fuck, I'm dead." Oh. Another one here. Our friend T-Bird won't be joining us this evening on account of a slight case of death. Yeah. I mean, come on.
It's just bordering on that, being cheesy but wink and a nod kind of thing.
Yeah.
What's that one he does to Skank or whatever the other one? He's like, "You boy, how do you feel?" And he's like, "I feel like a little worm on a big fucking hook." And he's like, "A little worm on a big fucking hook." Well, that's just great.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Quotable.
Yeah, I do wonder what do you both of you think if Brandon Lee had lived through the movie, lived, with sort of that horrible accident happening. If he would have survived, would this movie been as much of a cultural event as it was at the time and even now?
Acting wise, 100% yes.
Yeah.
But because he died, it got that extra kick back in that day. It would have been a bigger cult hit, as in a lot less people would have seen it. Let's just say, I think, because the death is the thing that makes it the cult classic now. Even though it really stands on its own, it shouldn't be impacted by it, but it just is. My opinion, of course.
Yeah, I wonder because, at least for what we get of him, it's, I feel like it's, doesn't get the acknowledgement for how great a performance he does, turn out. I think had that, accident not happened, I think that would have kicked it off for him personally, would have kicked off a pretty substantial, his career would have kicked off, skyrocketed from there.
Especially during that time, I think being an action star with that kind of charisma would have been very. He'd have been busy during the 90s because that was the thing, and that was kind of what was in. So he would have had a long career.
Could you imagine him being Neo, for example? Like, Keanu Reeves wasn't. He had some action flicks, but come on.
Yeah. Point Break, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's no,
Bill and Ted.
That's another actor. Yeah, not Bill and Ted. I'm thinking
Johnny Mnemonic.
Yeah, that's another one.
Oh wow, you're all going for it. The one with the exploding speed with the bus.
Speed.
Oh yeah.
Yes, if the bus goes.
The action flick. If you think Keanu Reeves action flick, Speed.
Just doesn't, and then he has was it Speed 2? He's in a boat, or what was the second one? It's like Can't Catch a Break.
Something with a boat. I never watched Speed 2 because I was like, nope, don't care.
Yeah.
It's like it's one of those. It's like, no, this is a one time, this is a one-off. You can do this premise once. It's like,
are you sure?
compare.
Because Fast and Furious has been going. I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot
I
of
know.
things that
Yeah.
keep on going.
Yeah,
But yeah, The Crow kept on going as well, and I cannot recommend any of them. I watched 2 and I stopped. I just stopped.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I saw that one. I was like, well, this is dumb.
Yeah. The whole shtick of, so something bad happens to you, you die, you come back to get revenge thing, it works. But like you said, it works once, and then even with the whole, so you're bound to Raven. If the Raven dies, you lose your powers, you go back. Yeah. It works once.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think about that point when this one came out, that was about the point where they were, for action movies, they were transitioning away from, like the extremely buff, style for like Arnold and so forth,
Rambo.
Into more of a, the more martial arts theme style and more slender guys and whatnot. And it's like they're not like, muscles up on top of muscles and whatnot.
Yeah, I think our old friend Bruce Willis did that for a lot of movies, because I think he was the one that everybody said, like, he's an action star, really? Die Hard?
Yeah, that he was kind of the one where
he wasn't buff at all.
Later, but he was kind of the one who kicked it off. But
Yeah,
it was still a slow transition.
yeah, true.
Yeah, I think right time for this one. But yeah, it's a one-off. It's hard to keep it going. And plus, it was in the second one in Los Angeles.
City Angels, yes, and
Could be.
it jumped ahead to like indeterminate time period for this one. I don't remember if it said years, but like jumped ahead. It tried to have continuity with the first one, because I think the female lead was supposed to be the little girl, all grown up. But then it got, they're like, oh yeah, so we're gonna touch on the villains being supernatural, in some way, the way the Top Dollar's, sister or whatever she was.
Yeah.
Micah.
Yeah. Only, and then we had that whole scene. Like I said, that was a bad one. The whole scene where the villain, like, stakes the crow to a altar and drinks its blood or whatever, so that he can gain supernatural power.
Powers. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all like, okay, this is weird.
But I don't know how true to the comic it is. I haven't read the comic. Did you guys read it? It looks cool, the artwork.
I have, and that's actually one of the things that I mentioned earlier that got cut out of the movie is that there was at least in one version of the comic, for the first story that this one's based off of, they had the character of the Skull Cowboy, who's supposed to just basically be a representation of death.
Yeah.
And the whole specific detail is that, rather than the whole, kill the bird, he loses his power thing, is as long as he's doing what he does, what he was brought back for, avenging himself on the people who specifically did the things that, caused him to be brought back. So T-Bird, Gun Boy,
Tintin, Skank.
Tintin, and Skank, yeah. As long as he's going after them, he's invincible. Can't stop him.
Okay.
But it's when he starts doing things that don't have anything to do with, his revenge, that he's no longer invincible. So like the whole scene with making is it Sarah? Sarah's the girl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, making her mom, disinfecting her of the drugs that she's on.
Cool scene, by the way.
And and then going to save her. Those have nothing to do with his revenge, and so like there's the whole deleted scene in there. You can find it, but it's a really bad quality. Where the Skull Cowboy's like, "Yeah, you do this. You're just a man. You don't have your power," and takes his powers away.
Yeah,
it's really weird. It's like a weird.
I have the deleted scenes on a disc somewhere, but it's not here.
Yeah, it's like not even. I don't even think it was fully filmed. So, like I said, it's really bad quality. The one I've seen, anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got cut from the movie because they're like, this will confuse the hell out of people. Well, just make it simple. The bird makes him invincible. Hurt the bird, but the bird isn't invincible. Hurt the bird, you hurt him.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, especially his fight with Tintin, he doesn't mow through everyone, and I like that about it. He doesn't mow through Tintin. It's almost like he doesn't really struggle with him either, but it isn't quick. That they have a little back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of attributed that one to like he's just basically just gotten out or just woke up. So hasn't really figured out what he can do, because there's a whole difference between the 10-10 fight and then the whole bit when he comes after Skank, where he's just like, "Oh look, there's all these guys with guns. I don't care. I'm just gonna kill every single one of you." like he says in that scene, "You're all going to die."
Yeah. Yeah. Like we said before, they all have their quirks. Tintin was the one with the blade.
The knives, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he stole his coat.
Yeah.
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 Which also, that was just like a little touch. It's like he stole Tintin's coat, and then if you watch through the movie, the coat gets increasingly, even though he's invincible, the coat is not. And you can see as the movie goes on, the coat gets increasingly, just shredded in the back. I'm like, that is a really nice touch.
Yeah, it was.
Except for the guns.
Yeah.
They don't need reloading. You can shoot them forever and ever and ever, that's the only I think the only thing I've got against the movie. I loved it as a kid, that scene. So he stands up on the table, gets shot, falls off the table, starts shooting everybody, has 2 guns, but they're like, I don't know, 12 bullets or something. Yeah,
they were like a couple of Uzis or something. So he's just like, one-handing these 2 Uzis and just...
That's fine, but he keeps on firing even though we know the bullets must have gone out of them at some point, as in, no more bullets. It's done.
The crow's magical power lets him have infinite ammo.
It gives you ammo.
Infinite ammo cheat.
Okay.
Or at least, semi-infinite, because at some point he finally gets tired of using the guns and he just like goes over to Top Dollar's sword collection and takes a sword and starts slicing people up.
Gets the katana.
He does get a lot stronger as we go and realizes what he can do. I think I wasn't a big fan of the end. I mean, I guess the showdown was, you have to have a showdown between him and Top Dollar. But I've never been a big fan of that little rooftop fight.
I know this director didn't work on it, but I'd say it kind of has the same problem that the first John Wick movie has. At the end there, it's like, John mows through all these people in dramatic fashion, and then the big finale of the first movie is he fights Russian senior citizen in the rain.
Yeah. Whoa, it's been a while.
Yeah. So it's like, and so he's just kind of flailing. They're just kind of flailing around at each other, and because he's gotten depowered and all, and he's just getting it's like this fight's kind of so.
Yeah,
I did like the way it ended.
yeah.
I've got something for you. I don't want it anymore.
How many end scenes are that great? As in end fights. There are a lot that I can remember that either are over way too quick, like going back to the Matrix. Neo gets shot and then, oh my God, he has powers. Explodes. Agent Smith. Done.
You just kind of look at each other like, nope.
Yeah.
yeah, but that's it. I mean, that was over way too quick. And then there are others that take on their own life in the movie that go on forever and ever and ever. I think Three Musketeers was one of them. That the actor Michael Wincott is fighting D'Artagnan. Loses his sword. D'Artagnan picks it up. It's his father's sword, and then gives him his own sword so they can fight again. I'm like, seriously, dude, you defeated him already. This is not even honor anymore. This is just playing with him.
Yeah, I think it's hard when you have so much build up for 2 hours. It's hard to have a satisfying finale. I mean, it's because you're setting up the whole movie for this showdown, and obviously there's not too many memorable ones, I guess.
Yeah, with this one, like I said, it was it's like the fight itself was kind of meh, on the roof. But then like I said, that last bit when he, dumps all of Shelley's, the pain and everything that she went through that he took from the officer, and dumps it on, Top Dollar. I was like, okay, that was good.
And then he falls off.
The final shot of
blood.
Him, thunk.
Yeah. That is pretty cool. A lot of people were complaining about that scene with when Shelley gets zapped in that scene. She still has her clothes on, and you don't do that with people when they have their clothes on. Like, I know, nitpicking.
Yeah, they probably did that for the rating to not make it. Might have been well, I guess I could have just removed it or not used the defibrillator, but yeah.
Wasn't it for? I think it was for 16 years old over here.
Oh, it is rated R. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's rated R more for the violence than the.
Yeah, and I mean, if it's like, oh no, we're gonna show some boobs. I think there's a scene where you can see a breast somewhere. So
there is the
woman they broke.
Oh yeah,
the woman that broke. Yeah, and I think she pops her eyeballs out. Well, she's going to pop her eyeballs out. We see the eyeballs later.
Yeah. So, in the 90s, come on, really?
Well, I think, and also it's like I don't know, and I don't remember the order of filming, for the scenes and all, but I think it, also fits into the category of some of those movies that came out of the 90s where, you can tell everybody's, into the cast is all into the movie and, doing their best on it and, having, fun with their parts. Like another one that's a good example is, Demolition Man.
Oh, yes.
That's really what makes Demolition Man so much fun. You can tell everybody is having fun, in this, Snipes is hamming it up. Yeah, just everybody's, having a lot of fun with this. And that makes it so much better.
He doesn't know how to use the 3 shells.
Yeah.
I have questions.
Yeah, I think, like you mentioned, Joshua, I think the 90s have this wide range of, because we have like Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, the Tarantino stuff. We have a wide range of different types of movies.
Yeah, I'm going over the list here. So Silence of the Lambs 91, Interview with a Vampire 94, Dead Alive 92, Bram Stoker's Dracula 92, Army of Darkness 92, Tremors, 90. Event Horizon, 97. Candyman, 92. Hellraiser 3, 92. I mean, I know I'm in the kind of horror / thriller section, but those are so different from each other. All the movies I said, it's more experimenting.
Yeah, like just with this director, you know, you have like we mentioned Dark City earlier. It's like he used a similar aesthetic, but Crow and Dark City really can't be more different from each other, even though he's going for the similar, you know, city aesthetic and all.
Yeah. Definitely worth a watch. That is one that not a lot of people have seen, and there are 2 cuts as well, I think. Let me see. Theatrical is 140. Specs. Director's cut is 151, 111 minutes. That's the one you want to watch.
Yeah.
Because the theatrical cut explains what happens in the movie in the beginning, which is stupid because that is a movie that you need to figure out on your own. I mean,
yeah. I've never done this myself, but I've had people tell me that the best way to watch Dark City, or maybe the, you know, best way to give yourself a, you know, trip that you can't believe, is to be, you know, intoxicated in some fashion when you see it. You know,
with the changing buildings, I can see that. Yeah. I don't think I would recommend it for The Crow, though. Being intoxicated and watching that movie, because then you would have nightmares. I think
it's very possible because, you know, while they're not like graphic about the home invasion scene, you know, like you're not seeing her
the wooziness of the camera. It's even though it's indeed not that graphic, seems too real. Like in that situation, those people are hovering over you. They knocked you down. The way hovering over you.
Yeah, the way they put it into the, you know, the scene with them all leaning over her, you know, so they're putting you in her perspective is really, really, you know, it's like that makes it a lot more visceral. It's like, you know, it's like we're not seeing the way some do it, but I'm like, no, this is unpleasant.
Yeah, I think that's even when we talk about like graphic scenes. It's not graphic, but like you said, the audio, their voices during that scene, and the position of the camera. I think in some ways that's worse than having a really graphic scene because your imagination fills in the blanks, and in some ways that can be like more effective, more impactful than if it showed it to you.
Yeah. So when I was talking about the one with Funboy earlier, so he dies by getting all that drugs, all the needles pumped into him, into his heart. Like you only see one shot of that, so the whole fight is cut out, and it is not really a fight; it's more a struggle because he doesn't know the extent of his powers yet, and yeah, it is not really pleasant to watch, but at the same time it looks real. And when they cut that out, so which one is it? Grange, Tony Todd, the dude from Candyman. He goes up the stairs and he sees him leaving by the window, like, oh, he flew away when I shot at him. Yeah, and that scene felt so abrupt at a certain point, like next scene. Yeah, for me that felt disjointed, but at the same time I
because it went from he hit him after he told the joke, and then you know, and he's like, look, you know, and he throws him in the bathtub and does the thing with Darla. Yeah. And, you know, disinfects
lets her go. She goes down the stairs, and then they have the fight. But the fight gets cut, and then
fight gets cut because dude passes out. In the regular cut, and Darla running out causes the bodyguard to be like, "Wait, what? Something's going on," because he knows, Darla's fun boys, side piece or whatever, and so he rushes up, but in the span of her running down the stairs, and him going up, he had already tossed him in the bathtub and then perforated him.
Yeah, and you don't see that happening or anything, and that scene feels disjointed because of that. But I understand.
Yeah, so it is a little. Now that I think. Yeah.
So, Steve, do you know the story of what happened
with the gun or with the bullet?
Yeah, with the gun.
I guess they were trying to put dummy bullets into the guns, and instead of going out to buy like the blanks or like the dummy bullets to make the gun like it was loaded when you point at the camera, I guess they reused old rounds that had already been fired, and they tried to repack them as dummy rounds, but it actually there was enough gunpowder to propel the shell or something, and it.
I thought there was.
So there was shrapnel of one of the dummy rounds still in the tube. They need to clean out the tube, and because the other rounds have enough blasting power to repel whatever is in that tube out of it, so that's what shot him.
Yeah, which to me, they're like, we're gonna, what you mentioned, the people blame, Michael Massey, and I'm like, he's not the stunt, firearms pyrotechnics person. How the hell is he gonna know? It's like
he quit right after that. I think I read somewhere, and he died recently.
Oh, really?
Didn't he? Yeah, and it wasn't recently in 2016. So it was in the news like, the man who shot Brandon Lee died. No, it's the man who was unlucky to have that happen to him.
Probably, I'd say that probably messed with him a lot.
Oh,
He's like, I'm just the actor. I'm just doing. They hand me this. I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to know it's?
Yeah.
No.
You just.
Last time I saw him.
No, go ahead,
Steve. Yeah, last time I saw him was in Supernatural. He was one of the godly hunters.
I haven't seen Supernatural yet. I hear it's decent though.
It is. It's if you are into horror and stuff like that, but with a little cheese on top. The first what did I say? 4 or 5 seasons. So the first arc.
After 5 seasons, after season 5, it increasingly goes downhill.
Yeah, it takes a nosedive. It does. It really does. But the first arc, so season 5, you can just stop there. It ends technically. That's all. The director said it as well. He wrote for 5 seasons, and then they said, "Yeah, this is too good. You need to keep on writing." I was like, "Oh, great." Yeah.
Keep it going.
Just as an aside in that one,
but it's fun. It's just fun. No.
The best part out of that is Julian Richings as Death.
Yeah,
he pops up near the end of season 5 for the first time, but he has the best introduction. Just this, silver caddy driving up, a pale horse, as it were, to the song "Oh Death," and he doesn't even say anything. He's just walking, and then you get to actually see him, and I'm like, all the actors, like, every time he shows up, they just absolutely sell that they're terrified of this guy. Which they don't really do, even with, like, Lucifer. With Death, though, he's just...
I loved Lucifer, though.
Yeah.
So with The Crow,
just adding to his to-watch list.
Yeah, I'll probably watch it one of these days. Yeah. What didn't both of you like about The Crow?
So I said the guns. I think it's Chibipoe's turn.
Can't think. I mean, from a technical, yeah, that, but outside of that, I can't really think of anything that I really disliked. I liked everybody's acting. I guess maybe, like you mentioned, the cutting out, and I understand why they probably did it. The cutting out of the scene with, I know how he deals with Fun Boy is weird, and Skank's death is kind of anticlimactic. He just kind of shoves him out a window and lets him drop to his death in the club below, and I'm like, well,
I'm not Skank. That was Skank. Skank's dead, man. Yes, he is.
Yeah. So that was kind of like, well, okay. And other than that, maybe I would have liked, I think they sold it well, but maybe I would have liked, just if you'd seen more of, before the, at the beginning, more of, just Eric and Shelley to give it a little more oomph for what was about to happen. But
yeah, you get thrust into that, yeah.
Yeah, but then they just cold open to it. It's like, yeah, no, this dude, she got, what happened to her, and he got thrown out, blown out the window.
Yeah,
and you just get to the aftermath of it and piece it together. So it's like maybe just stuff before that, but like just sort of how they did the opening to Up, where you see the old guy meets his wife, and like in that first 5 minutes or so, you see them meet each other, and they just like, as someone said, here's the best love story. Disney did the best love story. Yeah, just something short, and then cut to, to that night, when the police are all milling around. And
but then again, then you lose the flashbacks he gets when he touches things like,
the other thing is, we
dance to this music. Oh my God, I read to her from this book, stuff like that. So then you lose the impact of that when it comes crashing down on him. Like, yeah, he had that life before, and it hurts even
that
more.
Whole scene where he goes in and like just the absolute wretched sounds he makes.
Yeah. Anything you didn't like, Steve?
My biggest complaint, I like Ernie Hudson, but that character, it seemed a little off. He seemed a little too goofy or too aloof. I don't know. He just, for a cop in that city, facing what he faces every day, he seemed a little too, I don't know. It seemed a little
sitting at that stand.
Yeah, I guess you need that kind of levity because it is a heavy movie. I mean, it's about a guy who's brutally murdered. Him and his fiance are murdered, and he's back for revenge. So I think you need a little bit of levity. You need something to lighten it up a little bit. But I think that was a little bit off. I think the stuff with Sarah was okay, but some of it was a little cheese. But it's 90s cheese. But that was like the only thing. But I did, as we were talking, I did think back to like the 80s and 90s, and even this movie ends on a hopeful note. I think you could say. I think it ends on a hopeful, it ends like on a high. And I think post maybe 2000s, I think a lot of movies don't end on a like a positive, hopeful note. I think a lot of them end on a downer.
Yeah. Like he says, can't rain all the time.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Are we less hopeful and generally than we used to be? I think. What do you guys think?
I see here last lines for Sarah. If the people who love are stolen from us, the way to have them live on is to never stop loving them. Buildings burn, people die, but real love is forever.
Yeah.
Hopeful notes.
See, one scene another scene I absolutely liked, and it doesn't have any dialogue. It's just music, and some really awesome shots. Is the guitar on the roof?
Yeah,
Well,
the music is also excellent in that movie.
And plus the music when he starts putting the makeup on with
the Cure.
Yeah. Well, that was such a great. I was like,
yeah, it has atmosphere. You can say that.
yeah, absolutely has that.
Yeah, what a great soundtrack though. I mean, you have Stone Temple Pilots, The Cure, Nine Inch Nails, Jesus and Mary Chain, Violent Femmes, Rollins Band, Helmet, Pantera, Rage Against the Machine. I mean,
after watching it again, I added the soundtrack to my Spotify list.
Yeah, it's one of the best. I think one of the better soundtracks.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
Again, I love the one from The Matrix as well. For instance, it has some good tracks like Dragula from Rob Zombie and stuff like that. But it just isn't as good as this one.
Yeah, really good stuff.
Did you two find the way that Brandon Lee played it? Like he was playing the Joker from Batman. Did you feel that, or because Sarah asks him, "What are you supposed to be, a clown or something?" And he says, "Sometimes." And the way he says it felt like Heath Ledger could have taken steps from him or tips from him. Doing his Joker character for the Dark Knight movie. I felt like this character could be the Joker. Not only the makeup, of course, but the whole,
I think a little bit, especially when we get to the scene with the all the the infinite bullets and everything. And when the police arrive after he's massacred everybody, there's a bit of flippancy there where they're like, "Freeze! Put your hands up!" And he does, and then he just kind of dances off to the side because he's completely unconcerned about this.
Yeah. The scene with the pawn shop with Gideon I see here, when he says, "Is that gasoline I smell?"
Yeah, I wondered about that because he sounds so strange in that, and that was one of those. I was like, did they have to like recreate that or something? Because he, if it was just him or but yeah, that was another one of the dudes like, no, and he just walks out and then turns around and boom.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to think about like, what if the Joker was a vigilante one out for revenge instead of. Yeah, whatever else he does, killing people for fun.
I do like how he stands in front of the pawn shop when he blows it up, and he doesn't seem concerned about but it just the flames just wrap around him. That's a great shot.
Yeah. Same for the one with the Firebird. Got a lights on fire.
Then the police officer shows up and he's like, "Move and you're dead." And I say, I'm dead and I move.
Yes.
Yeah, it is an interesting. I think it could also be interpreted as like was it like the sad clown or the I forget the name of that kind of thing where he's because some of where he's like hopping around, he's almost like a mime, kind of being playful with it. I felt like that was kind of his personality coming out a little bit.
Yeah, if that was his personality, then we really... I mean, I'm convinced we really lost a great actor, but... like Heath Ledger, too soon. Way too soon.
Yeah, for sure. What a terrible way to go out, too.
Another quote from Top Dollar: "Greed is for amateurs. Disorder, chaos, anarchy. No, that's fun." I mean,
lots of quotable lines.
What's not to like? Yeah.
Lots of quotable lines.
Yeah, well, the face paint on his mask, that's based off the theater mask, and it's or a theater mask, so it's either, I'm gonna say it's probably despair. Old theater masks they'd wear to convey, pain, irony, or despair. And I'm trying to see which one.
It also says in the Blu-ray commentary, Brandon Lee wasn't happy with the way his face paint looked when the makeup department applied it to him before shooting, so they agreed that he would go to sleep with it in his bed to get it washed out a bit.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, because the makeup people apply it, it's going to be like this, like super perfectly applied kind of thing, and it's like, this is a dude having a breakdown as he smears this all over his face. It's gonna look messy, and
it's raining all the time.
Yeah. And I think by the end of it, isn't it like, kind of starting to come off entirely?
Yeah, it's especially with the showdown.
The rain.
It's almost gone.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's also one of the goofy moments for the cop character of Ernie Hudson. I'll go in front of you. Get shot. I can't go any further. Really? Thanks for nothing. It was really weird,
But yeah, come to think of it, the makeup getting more washed off and everything, that's actually a nice touch too, for the way it plays out, where he loses his powers and, all that makeup's gone. He's no longer, supernatural Avenger. He's just a dude, flailing around at this other dude.
Yeah, I think it's kind of, symbolic.
Could they make a movie like that, as in, what if it wasn't made then? Could they do that today and get a good thing coming out? Because same impact, never gonna happen, but something that you feel like, wow, this is going to be a cult classic in 10, 20 years.
I don't know, this climate, I don't know, because a lot of audiences just aren't interested in. Not yet. I think the pendulum swinging back. I think we'll see more and more variety of movies. I'm hoping anyway. But as of and like today, I don't know that it would have the same impact, because we just don't have that kind of variety, and people aren't showing up the way they used to.
True.
Yeah, I think it'd end up being like super niche, if they did it nowadays. It kind of sit in that same, and I'm going to mention another random movie, same sort of category as, when Disney did got those people to do Maleficent, the first one.
Yeah.
Because I went and saw that, and I was like, that's been the only live action one they've done that I've thought was, where they're like, yeah, we're going to tell a Sleeping Beauty, but we're going to do this complete spin on it that you're going to be like, wait, what? Because, have either of you seen Maleficent?
Yes, both. I liked it.
Yeah, but it's like the first one, I'm like, wow, did they really just turn, the story of Sleeping Beauty into a rape revenge story? Because they could not have been more clear about what the context with that scene. He gives her drugs, she wakes up in the morning, and she's been horribly violated.
Yeah. The king is the same dude from District 9, I guess. Right?
I think so.
Yeah.
And so that was just like, I saw that and I'm like, wow, I'm surprised Disney let this go through, because I immediately got the context. I'm like, holy crap. So that was one I really liked, because they just like they tried to do something different with it, but it's sort of fallen off into a sort of niche, because people think, oh, they just did a redo of Sleeping Beauty with Angelina Jolie. I'm like, not so much.
No.
Yeah, I know they've been trying to remake this one for 15, 20 years. Seems like they've had different actors attached to it, and I really hope they don't remake it. I just think let it stand on its own. I think if you remake it now, it just wouldn't have the same. It wouldn't be the same.
Because they remade Candyman is one of the movies they remade last year, 2 years ago. I don't know. Yeah. I haven't seen it yet, but I have no high hopes.
Yeah.
The only thing is a remake that came out of the 80s and 90s that I'm tentatively have high hopes for, and it isn't even made yet. Is the forthcoming, whenever they make it, remake of Highlander.
That I wouldn't mind watching.
Yes,
I don't know if you guys have seen Highlander.
The John Wick people are.
Have you rewatched it as an adult?
Times. Yes.
Sorry, my movie's holding up. I don't know. That movie just doesn't hold up.
That's not cheese. That's blue cheese. That's
cottage cheese.
Queen made a song for that movie. Who Wants to Live Forever?
Yeah, something like that.
And then they implemented it in the what
the TV
is it?
show,
the sex scene, right?
Oh,
no. In the scene, he sleeps with
that's right.
Christopher Lambert needs to sleep with everything that moves. So when he sleeps with her, that's when the movie when that music starts, and I'm like, what? Just why?
No,
why is this happening?
It does Who Wants to Live Forever through the flashback parts, as his wife in the back in the 1400s, or the 1500s, and it shows cuts of her, as she's getting older and he's not.
They use that there as well, really.
Yeah,
then
I don't remember them using it in the sex scene. But the Queen album, it's like there's no official Highlander soundtrack, but if you buy the Queen album, A Kind of Magic, every single song that's on that album is in the movie. Prince's, Who Wants to Live Forever, Princes of the Universe, A Kind of Magic. Yeah, there's Give Me the Prize. They're all.
And yes, rewatching that now, it's not that great. But have you rewatched the third one? I mean, if you thought the first one was bad, now the third one is even. Oh my god, the second one.
The third one, I'm like, yeah, it's like the sex scene is even more gratuitous than the third one. I'm not even going to deny it. It's the third sex scene is gratuitous. As Mario Van Peebles does, is entertaining, as the bad guy, but otherwise it's like, wait, how did he, I'm gonna to borrow a famous quote from the directors of a TV show. How did McLeod just sort of forget about this dude who wasn't dead? It's like he was convinced that they were the last two, so he would have known.
Yeah, the whole thing. There can only be one breaks down real fast if you have a second movie.
Yeah, the third movie ultimately ends up making the second movie, seem like a work of art.
Oh wow!
First movie is from '86. Wow.
Yeah, another thing, watching those older movies like that, you know that the actors just didn't take the action scenes all that seriously. You could tell they were very. You just get off the couch and they're an action hero. I think now, John Wick, even the Matrix series, they took all that very seriously. They had like months and months of training, so they take that a lot more seriously. It looks a lot more believable.
Yeah, kind of. One of the famous things about the Highlander movies is that Christopher Lambert had, they had problems, getting him to not, he wanted to do stunts. And, he wanted to do some stunts. They're like, no, we're not going to let you do that. Like, if you've seen the second one, there's that whole bit where he's on the, he's having the first fight with the bad guy that he has. And there's this scene where he's, lands on this elevator and the elevator cable gets cut. And it's like this little tiny elevator and it like drops like 90 feet or something crazy. It drops a long way. And they, you can find out director stuff where Lambert wanted to, be the one on the elevator to make the drop. And they're like, no, our stunt person's going to do that because he knows what he's doing. But the other thing that's, the second movie is bad, no question. But I like the amount of practical effects that they put into it is crazy if you ever look it up. Like it's got, a whole similar aesthetic to The Crow, with the whole, the rainwash, dark, streets and everything, for a part of the movie. And they like built the whole little city. It's supposed to be New York or wherever it is. I don't know. They built the whole set somewhere down in South America, on a lot. So, and you've got this whole crazy scene where he's on these little flying hoverboard and the other dude's flying around, because it's a crazy ass movie, flying around with, a jetpack and wings. And they rigged up this whole thing. So they're actually flying around. They're on this whole system of wires that they rigged up for the whole thing. So it's like all practical effects.
Yeah.
Of course, that ends up, when you see them kind of turning around, and they've hid the wires, it's because they're on specific tracks, for that. So it's like there's a lot of really neat practical effects in that. And
yeah, but the 80s were the height of the practical effects. I mean, 86, Aliens alone.
The Thing. Was it The Thing 81, 82?
Oh, The Thing, yeah, in the 80s. The Fly.
Yeah, The Fly.
So practical effects were top-notch in the 80s. And then we've got the 90s with some practical effects, some CGI.
Even Jurassic Park holds up pretty good. I mean, because of the mix of practical and special effects, I think it holds up pretty well. Even now.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, like another out of the 90s where it's like, holds up pretty well, or at least the practical effects do. Terminator 2.
Oh, yes. Judgment Day.
Yeah. Most of the CGI with, when he's fully liquid does not hold up that well now, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of it, but yeah, there's parts where it's like, it's like, no, that looks bad.
What was it? The T-1000 or something?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of parts where it's like, this does not look so great.
Yeah, like we mentioned earlier, I think they did a pretty good job with this, with the Crow too. With the getting Brandon Lee back into certain scenes.
Yeah,
more. I think they had to be more creative, getting those to full audiences or to make it look believable. You couldn't really go full CGI the way they are now. It just wasn't there. Technology wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
If someone hasn't watched it yet, I would definitely recommend it. It's one of those movies like the ones we are mentioning, like a Jurassic Park, for me, The Fly, or The Thing, or then I'm like, you haven't seen this one? Watch it.
Yeah.
Make up your mind, of course, but definitely give it a try. It's worth it.
Yeah, it's like, some movies I'm just like, man, can you get on with it? Pacing and everything in this one is, I don't think there's any point where I hit that, can you get on with the plot, in this movie. So it's paced really well.
Yeah. Even like you mentioned, even the guitar scene, it was almost like a break, but it's such a cool scene that it doesn't seem like a lull, because it seemed like it didn't seem like it should be there. It was a cool scene. So even then it was pretty good.
Yeah, and it has a like the atmosphere and evokes just, he's like super depressed, despairing, whatever, and he's just kind of, channeling out all his, emotion, into this, and so because it culminates with him smashing the guitar and everything.
Like you guys said, like this scene belongs in the movie because he's musician. Musicians do play their instruments to get over some stuff, or get some clarity or whatever.
Almost felt like he was doing that to be to feel close to her, to feel human again in a way. It's part of his humanity.
Yeah, he can't.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, he can't read her poetry or whatever that he did before, so he can only create. Creating is existing.
Yeah, and then as it goes, and he goes to smash the guitar, you get the feeling it's like he's just all his rage because she's gone, she's never going to come back, and he's just he just loses it and just starts smashing, because it's a thing that's gone and never coming back.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, what would both of you rate The Crow?
Out of 5, out of 10?
Let's say out of 10.
Chibipoe first.
Not wearing nostalgia glasses, just the movie.
Okay. It's not perfect. There are, like we've discussed, there's a few little things, so but it's still rated up pretty high, so I'd say 8.5, maybe a 9. It's really strong in all the places it needs to be, so even though it has more than a few issues here and there, but they patch over most of the rough spots pretty well.
I agree with a strong 8. I agree. 8.5, strong 8, yeah.
I think if you ask the nostalgia portion, I think I'd give it like a 9. Like, if you think back to 94 and,
definitely.
because it was an event. Like, it was this really important thing at the time. Like, it was like a cultural flashpoint. Looking at it now, removing myself from it, I think it's like a 7. I think it's good. It's not perfect. There's some, but again, it's hard when you look back on a movie that's 20 years old. It's there's going to be things that just don't hold up all the time. So, but great movie. I think it's
close to 30 now.
Is it 30? Wow, it is close to 30. You're right. Holy shit. Yeah, you're right. Well, yeah, it has been 30.
We're all old.
Yeah.
It's like there's a bunch of like the joke with Final Fantasy games where some people have been playing and they think back 20 years and they're thinking of a game in the 90s and 16-bit pixels, but then they stop and they're like, wait, no, 20 years ago was PS2 with 3D graphics. And
that's Final Fantasy 10. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Holy shit! It's almost 30 years old. Yeah, it'll be 30 next year. Wow. Oh, okay then. So, well, thanks both of you for taking time to come and talk. I know we've been trying to do it for a while, so glad we're finally able to make it.
Yes.
Yep.
But in the meantime, Joshua, where can people find you?
At the Page Chewing forums.
Cool. And Chibipoe.
Yeah, Page Chewing forums. You can message me on Twitter. I'm also on Blue Sky, as Chibipoe. So,
how is Blue Sky? Are you still hanging on to X? Or are you gonna make the move?
I'm still keeping that one active on on Twitter because, but just because it's right now, Blue Sky still hasn't been opened up to where people you can embed stuff to like Discord and whatnot, but it hasn't been opened up for you have to have a blue sky to see everything. It's supposed to open up soon where you can see stuff without having a blue sky account, but so I'll probably keep running both, but more and more Twitter is just like Muskrat is just like driving it into the ground.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
We'll see. See what happens. It's an interesting ride. But cool. Well, thanks both of you again, and until next time, we'll talk to everyone very soon.
yep, thanks.